Hey there, this is Kevin from kevinsguides.com and welcome to video 3B of the template development series. So in the last video, we pretty much styled and gave layout to most of the template, but there were a few things that I wanted to add on that we did not get to just because that last video is getting quite long. So in this video, I want to go over first fixing this background gradient going across the top here. So the background gradient doesn't all go all the way to the left and right. So I just want to fix that real quick. There is a div that I included for some reason in the previous video that I should have removed that doesn't have any classes. It's not really doing anything. So look at that. I'm going to restyle this main area, maybe get rid of these rounded borders. They don't really go with the rest of the template. I was just kind of looking for something to do to show you again how to compile the Sass for the template and add whatever styles you want there. I'm going to show you the messages area and explain the importance of that in a little more detail. We'll fix the site title to behave in a better way. We'll add a favicon, so we will replace this replace me text up there, and I'm going to show you two ways of doing that. So without further ado, let's begin by fixing this background gradient going across the nav bar. So all I want to do is make it so it goes all the way across here. I got my template open just like I had in the previous video. And what the element I'm looking for is this navbar class here. We see I have it in this div that goes all the way across, and then there's the container that holds the navbar itself, and then this is the part where it shows the gradient, and this is the part that kind of contains everything and goes all the way across that doesn't have the gradient. To add a gradient, all I've used is this bootstrap class background dash gradient. So if I save that and reload, now I should have a gradient going all the way across, and that looks better to me. As far as a pointless div goes, that is surrounding this heading element. I believe I was going to turn that into a container, and then I just wrote a new container there anyway, so we can actually just remove that div and take this out here. If I reload, it shouldn't make any difference on the front end. The next thing I actually want to do is turn this H1 element into something else, and we really shouldn't be using an H1 element, a heading for the site title, because really that H1 element is supposed to be like the title of the page or the most important heading on the page, which normally isn't the same as the site title. So normally that's like the article title or something that we actually want to be the heading. So I'm just gonna turn that span into, or that H1 tag into a span instead, and we'll reload that. We'll see how that does. So the font size is a little small. I do want to make that bigger. So I have the padding start, text white, and I believe the bootstrap class our font size is FS, and then we can add like a number between 1 and 5. So let's see what 1 does. So FS-1, that looks pretty much on par with what I had before. I think I'm going to go with that one. That looks good to me. All right. Next thing I want to do is make this heading link clickable. So normally the site title on any site just takes you back to the homepage for the website. I'm just going to add an ahref equals, let's see, index.php. We'll see if that works. /a, and I'm just going to move that span inside of that a tag. We could also turn the span into an a tag and add those classes. How we do that is really up to you. And now if I hit that from any page on the site, does it take me to index.php like it should? I'll just go to a few different pages here, test it out, and that looks to be working fine. So we got to our link working, but I do want to remove this underline. So even though this is a link, I don't want it to be like displayed with that underline there like we would with a standard link in an article, for example. And to get rid of that, I can just add a class to the a tag of text. I think it's text decoration none. Let's see if that does it. I might have to look that up. Oh, that was it. Okay, good. So text decoration none on that a element or that link element that removed that underline for us using the bootstrap class. So now I have the heading working better. And the next step is to restyle this main area. I want to make that look a little better. So before I even touch any of my SAS, I'm going to open the inspector, Control-Shift-I, or right-click Inspect in Chrome or Edge, and we are going to be targeting really this entire area around the outside, so the main element in this case. So before I added some padding, I do think I like that padding. I'm going to leave the padding there just as it is with that P3 class that's been included. As far as the main, this is what we actually styled in template.scss. I added that border and the border radius. So this is where I actually want to make some changes. And none of this is actually getting saved now. I just kind of want to preview. So let's say we go with a border that is kind of like green or a different color to match the rest of the site. And let's say we get rid of that border radius. All right, I kind of like that. That's not terrible. Let's see if we can do something even better here. Maybe we go with like a more subtle border that's almost invisible, but still there enough so you can see that it's kind of separating the content. So I do like that, and I do like that a little more. But what I think I want to do instead is for this entire container, or maybe for the entire site under the body class, I could actually make this like kind of a more subtle color. And this is entirely up to you what you want to do here. But I want to maybe make this almost white, but just not quite white. And then I want to take my main and I want to make that white. So that'll be full white. So now we kind of have this like page looking, it looks like a page or an article or like a piece of paper kind of on the grayer background. I think that looks pretty good actually. So I think I'm gonna leave it like that. And we're going to update the SAS files and the template CSS to reflect that change. So remember, if we are in Visual Studio Code, we can just right-click a folder and do open in integrated terminal, and that automatically takes us to the directory that we just opened. So in this case, J4 starter. And I want to see what files I have in here. The command is ls if you're using Linux, or I'm not sure if that works out of the box with Windows right now, but we could also do dir, and that will list all the files that we have in here. And what I am missing here is the SAS and the CSS files, and that's because I'm in the wrong directory. I forgot that with the newer templates, the convention is to put it in the media folder. So I actually want to go to the media templates site, J4 starter, and then we are taking a look at running the integrated terminal from the SCSS directory in here. I'm going to close out of that other one. If I do dir, we can see I have my template.scss file in here. Of course, we could manually see that as well just by expanding the sidebar. And I hate it when I get pop-ups like that ask me to review my photo memories and things. I should probably turn that off. Anyways, so I want to take template.scss and move that into, or compile that using SAS into template.min.css. So let's remember the command is just SAS -- watch and template.scss : two dots, go up a directory. And in this case, I want to go back down into the CSS folder /template.min, template.min.css style compressed. Okay, that should do it. It's watching for changes now. Now I can go into the template.scss file, and we will be modifying that main element and the body. So do I have a body in here yet? I do not. So let's go ahead and just add a body class, or a body element here, and we'll set the background of that to be kind of like a light gray color. Is that light gray? It's maybe too much light gray. Let's go slightly darker. Go E9, that looks fine to me. And then for the main, we got rid of the border radius. Maybe I will leave that as kind of like a darker gray, see how that works. And we'll set the background of this to white for the main element. I save that. I reload. And hey, that looks pretty close to what I just had. Of course, if I wanted it to be identical, I could have just copied the styles from this over to that style sheet and saved it that way. Anyways, I am happy with how this looks a bit more than I was before, so I think I am done styling this template for demonstration purposes. The next thing I wanted to quickly go over was the importance of having that messages area, that messages section in index.php. If we take a look at the top of I think I put that at the top of my main element. Where is main? Main. Yes, I did. Okay. So main JDoc include type equals message. So it's important that we have this up here because whenever Joomla has like a registration feature or something, we can do forgot your password or any site that any page that uses something like this. I did a submit event here and now it's showing this message towards the top. The importance of that message is JDoc include type equals message is because if I don't have that, it's not going to show important system messages or error messages or warning messages up at the top there. So any components that make use of that feature, and quite a lot do, would not be working right. The user would not know that that went through the way it was supposed to. Anyways, that's why we have to have that messages thing up there. We fixed the site title, so we're good there. The last thing I wanted to discuss was adding a favicon. And remember, favicon is just this little icon that appears in the tab up there, but it will also appear in other places, such as if the user bookmarks your site on a mobile device, or bookmarks the site in any browser, really. It will show that favicon. So it's used for a few different things, depending on the context of how the user is accessing your website. Anyway, I created a basic favicon actually I used Midjourney to generate this. It's very simple, and I want to replace me with that favicon. There's a few ways I can do this, but the easiest way is to use a favicon generator, and this will automatically take an image and format it into a favicon, because a favicon is not just a single favicon file anymore. It's actually multiple files if we want to do it properly. The way I'm doing it right now, it just has one file, but we really want this to be like multiple files. So if we go to favicon.io and go to the favicon converter, it has this option to upload a file, and you should pick a square file, a basic logo, and or something like that, and download this. This is going to send me a zip file with the favicon. So all these files are involved with this favicon. And what I want to do next is, for the basic example, I'm really just looking for this favicon.ico file. If I go into the media folder for my website, under the templates, site, J4 starter, images, I have this favicon.ico file. And I just copy this or replace that from that zip there. And now if I refresh my page, we should see at the top, great, it does show that little favicon is appearing as it should. But there are some issues with doing it just using that single file, and that's because we actually want to include higher resolutions of the favicon for different devices and screens. For example, if a user bookmarks their page or pins their page, I forget what the term is, onto like an iPhone or something like that, or an Android device, like they want to pin it to their home screen, we don't want it to display this little favicon file. It's going to look kind of bad since it's like I think a 32 by 32 or 48 by 48 pixel resolution file. We actually want to use something a bit better there. And that's where these other files come in. Like we can see here for Android Chrome, it's giving us the option of a 512 by 512 size. For the Apple Touch icon, it's still a little bigger, definitely bigger than 32 by 32 or whatever the default is. So it gives us all these different file sizes, right? And right now, the line in index.php that is including that favicon file is there's a particular line, I think, is it under headers or meta? Where is it? Aha, okay, so it's this add head link at the very top. It's loading the images folder or the favicon from it. And actually we can just delete that entirely. Delete that line there. What was that line 20 something, 23 and 24? So if I just delete that, I reload my homepage. Now the favicon's gone. And that's actually a good thing because we're replacing the code that loads the favicon. And what we're doing is replacing it with all these files. I'm just going to copy every single one of these files. And I'm going to put this into images, my images folder, and maybe I'll create a new folder just for organizational purposes. Call that favicon. I'll paste that in there, and I will delete that original one. And now we have all these different files in here, and we need to get the site or the template to load them. Okay, so I want to copy this, and I want to paste this under the head section somewhere of my template. And remember that these are the wrong directories. It's going based off of the site root. So it's saying to find the Apple Touch icon on the site root / Apple Touch icon. All the file names are right, but we need to change the directory here. So what we need to do is get a variable that links us to this, this media folder. Now we could manually put this in if we wanted to, but let's do it with PHP just so you can see how we might want to do that. So we could say, actually, let me turn back on my other profile. Sorry, I was working in a different profile a second ago just to make sure I had the code right. But if I go to, say, site, media directory, so we create a new variable, and this is still before the PHP ends. So somewhere in the PHP code, it really doesn't matter where you put this, but I'm just going to put it towards the end. So actually not site media directory, but we'll do template media directory, and we want that to take us to the localhost / Joomla 2 / media / template / site / J4 starter folder. Then where we go from there is up to us, and we'll put that in manually. But for the first part, we can calculate that using this object here, JURI ::root. So we're accessing Joomla's root directory or the URL for Joomla's root. Then dot means like add this text afterwards. So media / or that's a period / templates / site. And we end that with another single quote there. So JURI root dot or period single quote media / template / site single quote another dot, and then I'm going to do this, which references this object that we're working with, which in this case is this template. So this template. So this should take me to localhost / media / template / site / J4 starter in this case. And let's test that out by echoing it under the ref attributes of these links. So PHP echo template media directory, semicolon, and that, and then we want to go from there. We actually want to go from there to images favicon, and that's where the actual files are. So I'm going to do /images /favicon. And let's take this space out of there. Images, favicon, Apple Touch icon. Okay, so that looks right. So now we can just go ahead and actually copy this entire part of that ref link and paste it at the beginning. And we'll do that for all of those files that we just included from that favicon generator. Now if I go back to the home page of my site and refresh, we can see if it works. So I refresh here. So I clearly did something wrong since my favicon is not showing the way I want it to. Now let's see what I did wrong here. So if I go to the inspector under the head and I look at these links, we can see I got hip localhost /Joomla 2, so that part looks right, /media /templates /site. Okay, so what happened here? It just says site J4 starter images. So I'm missing some forward slashes there. So let's fix that by first taking a look at the code and comparing it. So localhost media template site. So we got that part. So I need to put a slash after site, and that should fix it right there with the J4 starter. And then I need another slash before the images. So I just need to put more slashes in. Actually, there's two ways. I could put a slash at the end of the variable, or I could just put the slash before all the images. So now that I have those missing slashes back where they go, if I refresh, we can see there it loaded the favicon. And since that's in the same directory as all those other folders, I can assume that all those other folders are pointing to the correct location. So now if someone wanted to come along and regenerate a favicon for the site, all they'd have to do is go to favicon.io, go to that converter, download it, and paste all the files in that favicon folder under the templates media directory, and it would work pretty generically that way. There are, of course, other ways we could do this as well. This is just one way, but if you're working on templates mostly for yourself or for just like individual clients, this is probably going to be the easiest way to go about working with favicons. One thing I forgot to do here was update the site.webmanifest file, and this is kind of like another piece of like head information we could think that contains links to these favicon files and certain devices needed to work. So right now it's linking as the source attribute for two of these, the Android-Chrome-file and the other one. So two different files here that both link related to Android and Chrome, and we just need to update those to be the full directory from the site root. So media template site J4 starter images favicon slash image Android-Chrome, and then we could do the same thing under the other one. Make sure we don't have two slashes in there. We save that. This last thing over here, theme color, that is like if you have a browser that supports theme colors, which some do use this color in some aspects of it. But if you wanted to pick like a theme color based on the actual color of your site, so like if I want to go with like this kind of like tealish sapphire, I don't know, emerald, I mean like that kind of color, I could just set that to emerald and save that, and now I have my web manifest file ready to go. And then the alternative to doing it this way would be to just copy all these files as they originally were into the root directory of your entire site and copy that original code without including those links like we did to the media folder. The downside of that, of course, would be that while it's easier for one site, if you use the template across multiple different sites, that probably wouldn't be the best way to do it because it doesn't include those files when we install the template itself. It doesn't put them in the site root. That's the site web manifest. Anyways, I think I got the template working the way that I want it to at this point. So I hope you found this video useful. In the next video, we are going to look at packaging this template up for other people to use and for us to upload and use on production sites. Thank you and take care. Bye.